We're on episode 5 of The Staircase. This one's titled The Beating Heart. Let's recap. This series is an anthology within an anthology, so the timeline is not concurrent. Last episode, episode 4, Michael Peterson was found guilty, sentenced, cuffed, and shuffled out of the courtroom by guards to be transported to Cobb County Prison for the rest of his natural-born life. In this episode, he's prisoner 640. 6 months after the verdict, he's been beaten. Not as badly as Kathleen, but his face is covered with bruises. Michael needs commissary to stay alive and avoid these beatings. He got special treatment, his own private cell. The other lifers have been waitlisted for this cell, and Michael Peterson's got it because he's a celebrity now, coming from a high-profile case. They even call him, his nickname in prison is Staircase. So he forms alliances with some heavyweight black inmates for protection. His protection, though, costs weekly stamps. So he's got to depend on his sons, Clayton and Todd, young men busy with their own lives, and they've got to be there every week to make sure that their dad has commissary to stay alive in prison. Every week. He commissions his favorite, Todd, to take care of it, but he misses a week, so he's tasked Clayton to do it, who wanted to do it all along. Clayton connects his bank card so that his dad's commissary is drafted from his account every week. He is desperate to be in his father's good graces, despite what's going on. Even speaking to his dad at visitation, he still is looking for approval from his dad. So we learn more about Sophie. She's actually the editor of the documentary and a stan of Michael. She's been his prison pen pal for 6 months, proving she has no objectivity as a journalist or documentarian or even an editor. Her judgment is cloudy because she's falling for him, and she's married a young son, and they've about had it with her. She may have lost them, all because she wants Michael. So we see Michael's kids figuring out life with their father behind bars. Clayton's about to have a baby girl. Todd's a real estate agent. Actually, he manages property in Cabo. He awakens in bed one day after a night of hard partying with these 2 girls and his friend. He wakes up and his bed and the walls are soaked in blood. And he thinks for a split moment, is this hereditary? I don't know. For a split second, he's seeing his life go down the path his dad did. His friend who he partied with the night before, he gets him on the asks where the girl is that he was partying with the night before, hoping that he didn't kill her while he was inebriated. And he realizes that he busted his own head, which for him is a big relief. He realizes that the blood on the bed and the blood on the walls is his. Incidentally, there's a video of Todd Peterson that resurfaced from December 21. It's going around YouTube and Twitter and the internet, basically, of him saying he believes his father killed Kathleen Peterson. I'll link it below, but oh. Anyway, Margaret's in North Carolina helping brother Bill, Michael's brother Bill, with the estate sale, while Martha's in San Francisco. They have to sell the mansion and everything in it so that they can continue to pay David Rudolph because he is in the process of working on an appeal for Michael. So Todd and Clayton visit Michael in prison. Michael thinks he can get at least $1 million for the mansion, which is currently under asking. But Todd and Clayton nervously tell him that the offers are coming in at $750. And why? Because someone was murdered on the property. So that's why. Then we see David Rudolph fighting for an appeal. He loses, doesn't tell Michael. Michael has to learn this from an inmate in prison. We see bored and retired neighbor Larry Pollard scavenging for deals at the Peterson estate sale. Larry finds Kathleen's Christmas deer, one that she cherished a lot and he wants, and he's probably been eyeing this for years. The deer lights up and has very rigid antlers. He pays $100 for it even though it's not priced, but he notices that one is missing. This came as a pair. Larry knows that it's missing. He wants the other one, but he takes the one, and he tells Bill, Michael's brother, that if he needs anything, if he needs help with the case, then he'll help. Because again, he's bored, he's retired, he's looking for something, anything to do. And then we see Michael's mean streak. He opens Margaret's grades. He opens her mail, which has her grades from Tulane. He cuts her off financially, realizing that she's in danger of losing her scholarship because her grades are so bad. So he then uninvites her to Thanksgiving dinner. Like, he cuts her off, and she's crushed. Sophie admits to sending Michael letters and reading materials in prison. She sends him Marcel Proust and Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland. She just basically stops short of admitting to flirting with Michael. Meanwhile, he's tickling fingers in prison, flirting with one of the inmates. So again, the documentarians are bickering. Sophie wants the doc to look like a witch hunt. At the end of the day, she wanted to investigate the U.S. judicial system. And she claims that what they have is an accurate portrait of Michael. But is it though? Jean Xavier wants it fair and balanced, but cut, clean, polished for a Peabody. Denis wants to show that Michael's guilty as sin, like it was proved in court. He believes the jury got it right. So they go back and forth bickering about the direction of the documentary. But they eventually come to a conclusion, and they premiere the doc to rave reviews. Now, Sophie sends copies of the final docuseries to Margaret with a letter hoping it will eventually bring her family justice, as she claims. It's a really charming letter, like she's hoping to be her next stepmom. And then we get a couple of scenes with Kathleen. Toni Collette is not in it a lot this episode, but we do see a scene with Kathleen in the gym, and she bumps into Carol. Now, she had fired Carol a few episodes ago, claiming that it was a good thing. So Carol, is happier than she's ever been. Carol is happier than she was when she was at Nortel. She thanks Kathleen for firing her. She gets to spend more time with her kids, and so she's pleased with that. Even though she makes a lot less than she did when she was working with Kathleen, she has more time to spend with her kids. Kathleen, you can just tell that she wishes that she can have a break like this. Kathleen has been complaining about she is exhausted and overwhelmed and carrying all of these kids and Michael on her back. And so she envies Carol at this point. She's exhausted and needs a break. We also get a scene with Michael and Kathleen on a double date with Larry and his wife. Larry, again, is the Petersons' next door neighbor. And in an earlier scene, Margaret tells Kathy that Michael uninvited her to Thanksgiving and that she's going to Aunt Carol's house. Well, Kathleen's a little jealous of that. She's the big Thanksgiving lady. In fact, she loves the holidays. It's like a big event at her house, Christmas and Thanksgiving. So when Margaret says that she's been uninvited and she's going to Aunt Carol's house, Kathleen's crushed, basically. That doesn't sit well with Kathleen. So on this dinner date, she says that Thanksgiving's canceled altogether, and Michael's asking why. You know, he knows that this is a big event for Kathleen, and she reveals that, well, Margaret told me you uninvited her, so we might as well not have it and just go to Carol's house. We really just get a couple of scenes with Toni Collette in this episode. So then there's a scene where neighbor Larry, bored, retired neighbor Larry, is doing some independent investigating of his own. Remember, earlier he had bought one of Kathleen's cherished deer that she put out in the yard as display as Christmas decorations every year. But he, the neighbor, is studying Kathleen's autopsy photos. Well, they're also alluding that old Larry must have purchased an owl too, and that owl's claws makes him wonder if that could have possibly been the murder weapon, because he is examining the autopsy photos of his neighbor Kathleen, oddly enough, and the claws look like the shape of Kathleen's skull. Now here's the thing. Physically, it wouldn't make sense. I'm no forensic scientist, but it would appear that that theory doesn't make sense, because Kathleen had hair and the claw wasn't made of like steel or anything tough enough to make an imprint like that. The claw that we see, and we only just get a glimpse of it in this episode, we don't even see the entire owl, but we just get a glimpse of it, and this looks like it was maybe made of wood or some, I don't know. I am not completely sure if this was a stuffed owl, but so it seems like in future episodes that Larry will have theories of his own that maybe he has the murder weapon and he bought it at the Petersons' estate sale. And it seems like we may get that. I'm not sure. Then we get to the final scene. Michael gets an unexpected visit in prison from Sophie. And this is the beginning of their love affair. Michael's eyes light up. Is she about to be another one? If you stuck around this long, I certainly appreciate you. Please consider liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. And I'll see you next episode. Peace.